For money, I pretended to be something I wasn't and followed Oscar. He hated Omegas the most, yet I unexpectedly got pregnant. Before it showed, I ran away. Later, I huddled alone in a rented room with my growing belly. In the middle of the night, I suddenly smelled Oscar's scent. I thought it was a dream. Tears streaming, I opened my eyes, and met his dark, brooding gaze. Whose child did you carry? Come on, tell me, we'll go through this together. I'm a low-grade Omega, underdeveloped glands, barely any scent. Many people think I'm a beta, Oscar included. Normally, someone like me wouldn't even get close to a top-tier alpha, but just because, during his heat, I was serving drinks at the club and accidentally spilled one on him. The room went quiet for a moment. Everyone around looked at me with pity. Another fool daring to provoke Oscar during his heat. Remember the last person who tried to seduce him like that? He beat them half to death. I shivered. I am sorry. I didn't mean to. Oscar lifted his eyes and reached out his hand. I thought he was going to hit me and instinctively raised my arms to shield myself. Please, don't hit my face. If I got scarred, I'd lose my job. I needed this job so badly. I needed the money. The punch never came. Instead, I was pulled into a scorching embrace. Oscar's voice was hoarse. You're a beta, and you're short on cash? I nodded. A father who died young, a sick mother, a sister in school, and a broken me. His handsome face drew close, his body radiating heat. Want to come with me? In the hotel, I clutched the bath towel. It's my first time, can you go easy on me? He let out a scoff, cutting me off with a low, rough voice. You don't have to pretend with me. I've taken precautions. If you're healthy, I don't mind. I opened my mouth, then closed it again. I'm clean, but in a place like that, working as a hostess, he probably wouldn't believe me anyway. He wore me down for days and nights. At first, he still had some restraint, but later, a prime alpha in heat was like a wild beast. There wasn't a good patch of skin left on my neck. I bit down on the pillow, tears soaking the sheets. Yet when Oscar woke up, it was as if he didn't remember me. Like a brief amnesia during heat, I, shattered and desperate, wanted payment, but Oscar grabbed my neck. He pinned me against the nightstand, face full of disgust. What did you do to me? He was strong. I could barely breathe, my voice hoarse. You asked me if I wanted to be with you first. He looked down at me with that high and mighty expression. You think I'd go for you? An ordinary beta. No scent, just average build, average looks. He studied my face for a long moment, ears turning red. Yeah, just like that. Then he let go. I hung my head. As a low-grade Omega, I was used to being spoken to like that, but it still hurt. His cold voice came again. Did you take precautions? I shook my head, nervously clutching the corner of the sheet. You didn't let me. Those days of heat-induced chaos. When I tried to get something, he held my hand down. In a panic, I confessed. Oscar, I'm actually an Omega. I'm afraid of getting pregnant. His voice dropped, hoarse, pressing my wrist above my head, calm and low. If it happens, we'll raise it. I closed my eyes, giving up resistance. But now, I saw a wall of caution in his eyes. I laughed bitterly. Of course, men in bed couldn't be trusted. In the end, Oscar handed me a check. Don't think you can climb up this way. I've seen people like you before. After he left, I crouched on the floor, picking up the discarded check. I got a lot of money, yet somehow, I still wanted to cry. Later, I learned Oscar hated Omegas most of all. At the same time, I was secretly relieved. Good thing I hadn't confessed my true identity. With the money he gave me, I paid for my mother's surgery and my sister's tuition. Yet, a month later, I ran into Oscar again. From the moment I walked into the private room, his eyes never left me, expression unreadable. My legs went weak. I stumbled and accidentally spilled a drink on his friend's chest. Sorry, sir. I rushed for a napkin, but Oscar grabbed my wrist. He had somehow appeared beside me, tone scornful. Ha, trying that trick again. He was strong, it hurt. I wasn't. Before I could finish, he pulled me into his arms. He grabbed my face, gritting his teeth. Instead of trying to seduce others, you should come back to me. He took me back to his villa and tossed a contract at me. $10,000 a month. A huge sum. I couldn't earn that in a year. Before signing, I hesitated. Once, I had principles, honor, justice, integrity, trust. But my mother was in the hospital. My sister needed schooling. I was already in an abyss. They were my stars. I just wanted them to be okay. It didn't matter what happened to me. In the end, I sold myself. When my mom got the money, her eyes red, she asked, "Where did you get so much?" I couldn't lie, just lowered my head in silence. She tugged at my clothes, noticing the hickeys. They were from Oscar. Yesterday. Her eyes instantly welled up, hands trembling as she tried to pull out the four. Son, I won't continue treatment. I shivered, eyes stinging. Then, my sister's cheerful voice rang out. Brother, I've already paid the tuition to the teacher. Mom stopped, spun around. I quickly pulled my clothes back on. That's fine. Then, my little sister flopped into my arms, nuzzling me. Beside us, Mom covered her face, holding back tears. Finally, I held their hands and forced a smile. You both have to be okay, because only if you live well, can I survive. As I stepped out of the hospital room, I saw Oscar leaning against the wall, thumb rubbing my tear-stained eyes. You cry in a way that makes my heart ache. I kept my head down, saying nothing. If he hadn't insisted on leaving marks on me last night, no one would have noticed. But last night, Oscar was like a wild dog. He had to leave marks all over me to feel satisfied. The next day, my mother was moved to a private suite. My sister went to the best high school. The cost? I couldn't even get out of bed. He held me, drenched in sweat. Even betas can be this soft. Preston, I could die on you right now. I had no strength to respond. As a low-grade Omega, I was softer than ordinary betas, and unlike Omegas, I didn't get pregnant easily. Still, I was afraid of carrying a child. Since last time, Oscar had never used protection. I could only secretly take pills. Long-term use was bad for an Omega's health, but I hadn't thought about the future. Once Mom recovered and my sister went to college, I could be free. Just hold on a little longer. Preston, Oscar was going on a business trip. That was good news for me. But before leaving, he left me so drained I couldn't get out of bed. After he left, I got up to take my pills, but maybe I'd taken too much. My stomach suddenly twisted in pain in the middle of the night, like countless little knives were twisting inside me. I clutched my stomach, tears streaming, curling up on the bed, half asleep. I felt someone gently wipe my eyes. I opened my eyes. The figure was hazy. I thought I was dreaming, and reached out. Dad? But my father hadn't appeared in my dreams since he died. He was probably still angry with me. A low, soothing voice spoke, called for Dad. I was gone for one night, and you end up like this? A large hand covered my belly, gently rubbing. Luckily, I couldn't wait. Rushed back tonight. Tomorrow I'll take you for a checkup. The word checkup fully woke me. I grabbed Oscar's wrist, pale, shaking my head. I couldn't. If I did, I'd be exposed as an Omega. Under his puzzled gaze, I lied. I'm afraid of doctors. Fine, whatever you want. I closed my eyes, relieved. But the next day, he still called in a private doctor. He said it was a friend who studied medicine. Oscar pressed me firmly to take a full-body examination. Don't worry, I'll make Marcus go easy. During the checkup, Marcus's cool face showed doubt. You're a beta. He glanced at Oscar, hesitated, then fell silent. My face went pale. Was I about to be discovered? Before Marcus spoke again, I gripped his sleeve tightly. Doctor, I really am a beta. My stomach just started hurting suddenly. Maybe I ate something bad. My voice trembled, heart racing. I looked at Marcus with almost a pleading gaze. I just hoped he wouldn't reveal me. He stared at me for a long while, then chose to send Oscar away. Marcus frowned, tone serious. What was your purpose? Pretending to be a beta to get close to Oscar? Even taking so many contraceptive pills? Don't you know how harmful that is to an Omega? I tugged his sleeve, begging. I just needed money. Please don't tell Oscar. I know he hates Omegas. If he knew, he'd never choose me. Please, doctor. He stared at me for a long moment. All right, I cried with joy. Thank you. Marcus studied my smile for a while before looking away. When Oscar returned, he rubbed my red eyes with his thumb, expression annoyed. Marcus, why did you do a checkup and send me away? And why did you make him cry? Marcus sneered, tone mocking. Not my fault. You messed with your bedmate so he had to see a doctor. I know you're wild, but control yourself a bit. Yeah. Oscar's face flushed white and red in turns. His stomach hurts because of that. Marcus continued pressing. Yeah, and you never use protection. He's a beta. He can't get pregnant. So it's unnecessary. Marcus cut him off. Did you at least clean him up? Leaving it inside is bad. I kept my head down. Oscar wouldn't help. After venting, he'd just leave me like a puddle on the bed. Every time, I had to gather the strength to go to the bathroom and clean myself, then come back to act as his human pillow. Finally, Marcus patted Oscar on the shoulder. Oscar, be nicer to him. Oscar clicked his tongue. Such a delicate one. I had no hope that Oscar would actually listen. I still prepared to take the pills, but when heat returned, Oscar pulled out a package and tore it open. I froze. He was actually willing to use it. Not only that, his movements were gentle to the point of teasing. He rubbed against my neck. Low voice. Preston, does it hurt? I buried my face in the pillow, shaking my head. No, don't ask. But Oscar ignored me, his teasing voice sounding again behind me. How about now? Speak up, baby. It was like he had found a new little pleasure. I bit my lip hard. Shame burned me. Oscar's long fingers played with my reddened earlobe, voice low and pleased. This part's hotter than before. I stared at the ceiling, dazed. He watched my absent gaze and kissed me lightly. Baby, you're so cute. Fireworks still went off in my mind. When I snapped back, I realized, did he just call me that? Did I hear wrong? A name that intimate, with our relationship. He shouldn't say it. Before I could think further, Oscar suddenly picked me up. I struggled instinctively. He held my kicking legs. Baby, let's shower together. This time, I heard it. Those two words were so gentle that my heart felt like it had been grabbed. Oscar's restraint only lasted at the start of his heat. Later, he rampaged like a beast, craving my scent. But I'm a low-grade Omega. I couldn't give him what he wanted. He buried his face in my neck, biting hard. I shivered. Somehow, a little came out. Oscar looked satisfied. Baby, you smell so good. I love it. My heart skipped. I tried sniffing, but still smelled nothing. A twinge of disappointment crept in. The later it got in his heat, the clingier Oscar became. We spent a week like lovers, until one morning, I nestled in his arms, rubbing against him, but he didn't give me a morning kiss. His dark eyes stared into mine. I realized Oscar's heat was over. Those 7 days as lovers were over. He patted my butt, voice commanding, "Get ready, I'm taking you on this trip." My throat was hoarse as I silently left his arms. Okay, but inside, I felt a strange emptiness. All the intimacy during heat, Oscar didn't remember, but I did. Every detail. Oscar took me to a drinking party. The moment he arrived, all eyes were on him, people eagerly toasted. And this is, Oscar looped his arm around my waist, casual tone, the one I keep. Nearby, a businessman leered at me. So just a toy. Ha! Once he's done with you, can I have a turn? I clenched my fists. I'd seen plenty of this working at the club. The wealthy really did trade their toys. If Oscar actually gave me away, my heart throbbed painfully. I closed my eyes. Then it would be fight or die. But the next second, the man was slammed to the floor. Oscar smashed a glass, its sharp edge aimed at the man's eyes. Look at him that way again, and I swear I'll ruin your eyes. The room went silent. The man broke out in cold sweat, begging for mercy. Sorry, I was drunk. Just joking. Oscar released him and wiped his hands. You made a lot of profit behind my back on that last project, didn't you? I hate liars more than anything. From now on, I don't want to see you in this business again. A light sentence, but it drained the color from the man on the floor. I turned pale too. Oscar hadn't said it to me, but I had lied to him. I was the kind of liar he hated most. Oscar toyed with my hand. Why are your hands so cold? Scared? I didn't dare speak. He frowned, eyes narrowing, leaning close, teeth gritted. Preston, you really thought I'd give you away? I shivered instinctively. Oscar was angry again. That night, he brought me to a hotel. I struggled to get something, but he grabbed my tie and bound me. No use tonight. This is punishment. In the end, I collapsed from exhaustion. Half conscious, he carried me to clean up. In the bathtub, Oscar bit into my neck hard. Damn, why can't betas be marked? Preston, you can only be mine. On my birthday, Oscar brought me to meet his brothers. He held my waist. Let me introduce you. Preston. All eyes fell on me. I forced a smile. When cutting the cake, Oscar put a watch on my wrist. Soft light illuminated his profile. It's the same model I wear. Only 2 exist in all of the country. His brothers noticed, teasing. Oscar spent a fortune for this rare watch, just to please his beauty. He even traded his beloved car for it. Back then, he said no, and still gave it. Oscar is really bold. What was said casually, I took to heart. Even a treasured car could be given away. What about me? If one day Oscar stopped liking me, would he just say no and discard me? Those forbidden emotions surged uncontrollably. My eyes stung. Oscar finished putting the watch on me, smiling at me. Moved already? I swallowed the sour feeling in my chest. Yes. Later, Oscar stepped out. Stay here and wait for me. I sat quietly. His brothers, all rich kids, discussed topics I couldn't join. Luckily, no one noticed me. Suddenly, the conversation turned to me. Preston, what business is your family in? Before I could answer, a malicious voice cut in. What business? Running a hostess club. Obviously, I've seen it with my own eyes. The rich kids burst out laughing. A mere beta. Just lucky to catch Oscar. Don't think having dinner with us makes you a big shot. I ignored them, head down, quietly eating. Then a piece of roast duck landed in my bowl. A harsh voice sneered, "Eat what you deserve." I stared at it. Before anger could even form, my stomach flipped. I vomited. Pain tore through my belly. Still throwing up. Gross. Faking it. Ha! Stop pretending. I clutched my stomach, pain knocking me out. When I woke, I was in a hospital room. The disinfectant smell was strong. Marcus held the report, expression grave. "Doctor, what's wrong with me?" He stared at me and said softly, "You're pregnant." My mind went completely blank. Pregnant? We always use protection. Could it have been that time I went with Oscar to the drinking party? My thoughts were a mess. Marcus pushed up his glasses. "Are you going to keep it?" I lowered my head, touching my flat stomach. There was a new little life inside me, belonging to me and Oscar. For a moment, I wanted to keep him, but if I did, eventually it would show. Then Oscar would discover that I was pretending to be a beta. What would he do to me? I'm just a low-grade Omega. To him, crushing me would be easier than crushing an ant. "Preston, do you know why Oscar hates Omegas so much?" Marcus's question broke my thoughts. I shook my head. Oscar's first love was a top-tier Omega, but she suddenly left him and went abroad. He was deeply hurt, and from then on, he equally hated all Omegas. Now, that name is forbidden for him, we can't mention it. Hearing this, a dull ache filled my chest. So that's why Oscar once loved someone that much, and because of that person, he came to dislike all Omegas, even me. Marcus looked at me with pity. Also, his first love is returning next week. This trip is probably because she's coming back for him. My heart sank. What about me? And the child in my stomach? Marcus patted my shoulder, speaking earnestly. "I can help keep your pregnancy from Oscar, but Preston, I suggest you start thinking about your future. Don't get too deeply involved with Oscar. Decide whether to keep the child, and tell me, if you want to leave. I can help." Until Oscar picked me up to go home, I was in a daze, repeating the doctor's words over and over in my head. Oscar tilted my face, demanding, when I stepped out at the dinner, "What actually happened?" "Nothing. I could find out myself even if you don't tell me." But my eyes were drawn to a small family nearby. A little kid holding his dad's hand with his left, his mom's with his right, bouncing along with a joyful smile. I watched them. If my child could have a family that happy, how wonderful that would be. Oscar's warm breath brushed my ear. Like kids, I quickly looked away, shaking my head, afraid he'd notice. He nipped my earlobe. "Too bad you're a beta, but if a beta has enough, maybe they can still get pregnant." My face flushed. I knew it was suggestive, but I couldn't help asking softly, "Oscar, if an Omega carried your child, would you want it?" He shook his head decisively. "No, I hate Omegas. I'd never have a child with one. So don't worry." I barely heard the rest of his speech. My hands and feet turned cold. I'd hit both of his trigger points perfectly. Oscar seemed annoyed by my distraction, gripping my face. "Preston, what's wrong? You look terrible." Feeling unwell, I stiffened. "Nothing." But inside, I made a silent decision. If I wanted to keep the child, I had no choice but to run. Before I could even talk to the doctor, I met Oscar's first love, a top-tier Omega, Landon. He returned from abroad and invited many friends for dinner, including Oscar. That night, he held me and asked, "Preston, do you want me to go?" I nodded frantically, knowing my place, even though I didn't want him to go. After all, I was just his little kept thing. But Oscar was still unsatisfied, staring at me, teeth gritted. "Fine, then go." I didn't expect him to take me along. When we entered, the whole table looked displeased. After the last dinner, because of one lowly beta, Oscar had caused them trouble. They were already holding back anger. "Oscar, why bring him here? This is our circle. Why bring an outsider?" Their words dripped with disdain. Oscar coldly swept them a look. "Preston isn't an outsider." They shut up. I secretly glanced at Landon. No wonder he's a top-tier Omega. Handsome, yet with a masculine edge. His face alone made me lose focus. Landon smiled at us. "It's fine. If he wants to come, he can. So good-looking." Suddenly, my wrist ached. Oscar was gripping it. Low voice warning. "What are you looking at? Don't." I immediately looked away. A sour feeling rose. Sure enough, just looking at his treasure made Oscar unhappy. At past dinners, I would always serve Oscar his favorite dishes, but today, I kept my head down, just eating. They talked about the past, how wonderful Oscar and Landon's relationship was. I listened, wishing I could bury my head in my bowl. This dinner shouldn't have happened, until Oscar grabbed my wrist, voice laced with anger. Is it really that good? I looked up, still chewing absent-mindedly, meeting his intense gaze. Of course, I was still in the way here. Just as I was about to speak, Landon served Oscar some food, gentle tone, trying to soothe him. Don't be mad, eat a bit, you like shrimp the most. I shrank slightly again, wishing I could dig a hole and disappear, so I wouldn't interfere with their reconciliation. But Oscar didn't eat either, just coldly staring at me. I couldn't ignore his gaze. I forced out a pained smile. You don't need to worry about me. Before I could finish, Oscar's expression darkened further. He slammed the bowl. Shrimp fell to the floor, dust sticking to it. Such a waste. But with Oscar, it's over once he decides. Including me, he probably didn't want me anymore either. Dinner had been miserable. As soon as we got home, Oscar pinned me against the door and kissed me. But as he kissed me, my stomach started churning violently again. Oscar, let go. I feel like vomiting. I shoved him away and ran to the bathroom to dry heave. Maybe it was the pregnancy, nausea kept coming. Oscar's expression darkened. He glared at me, teeth clenched. Preston, kissing me makes you feel sick. I don't. But the nausea didn't subside. Furious, he forced me to rinse my mouth. Afterwards, he pinned me down again, voice harsh. Even if you feel sick, you still have to take me. He lifted me and threw me onto the bed. Oscar nipped at the back of my neck as he rubbed against me. Not just up top. You'll take me down there too. It wasn't the sensitive period, yet this time he was unusually aggressive. Who's biting you now? Speak, Oscar. Who am I to you? Why, your benefactor. No. Eventually, I broke down, crying and begging. Amid the haze, I heard a faint murmur. Preston, I just want to mark you completely, then I'll feel at ease. I felt disoriented. A low-grade Omega can't be marked, but he didn't know. My reproductive area had already been opened by him. Repeatedly, completely, and now, there was still his child inside me. I thought with Oscar's first love back, he'd finally end things with me. I waited every day for him to bring it up, but his attitude toward me hadn't changed at all. If anything, he watched me even more closely. Now, whenever I went out to see my mother and sister, 2 bodyguards followed me. Even the doctor wanted to help me leave but couldn't. As the months passed, my belly grew noticeably. At night, Oscar touched my stomach. Finally, some meat on you. Seems like your diet's been good lately. Give Zhangma a raise. I stiffened, unable to hold it in any longer. I brought up separation with Oscar. His face darkened, anger flashing as he asked bluntly, reason? I swallowed hard. Landon's back. I think it's better if I leave. He sneered. What does him coming back have to do with you leaving? My heart sank. Could it be Oscar planned to pursue Landon while keeping me? I'd heard wealthy people had intense possessiveness. Even if they lost interest in their little kept thing, they wouldn't let go. Oscar was probably thinking the same. If I fell for someone else, maybe he'd let me go. I bit my lip and lied again. I like someone else. Oscar's expression turned pitch black instantly. Who? I stammered. That night, he lost his temper. He pinned me to the bed, choking me, demanding the name of the person I liked. I couldn't say it. His actions grew rougher. Preston, you're mine. I'll never let you go. After everything we've done, does the person you like know? Do they know what you've been like under me? My neck was held in his mouth. He left bite marks over and over. No matter how much I begged, he didn't let go. Finally, I had no strength left and cried silently. Oscar flipped me over, meeting my tearful eyes, and muttered irritably. The days after were hard. Oscar didn't touch me, always cold, yet wouldn't let me go. My belly grew bigger, soon impossible to hide. Then some good news. Oscar had to leave for a business trip, a week-long trip, and he didn't suggest bringing me. Before leaving, he grabbed my chin, warning sharply, stay home and reflect. Don't even think about leaving. I obediently agreed, then sent a message to the doctor. The night before I was to leave, I received an anonymous photo. The background, a cafe. Oscar and Landon sitting across from each other. I couldn't see what they were saying, but Landon smiled brightly. Oscar still wore that watch. Its reflection hurt my eyes. I stared at the photo for a long time. My resolve to leave only strengthened. The next day, I didn't take much, just Oscar's shirt, still scented with him. The doctor said even low-grade Omegas, Who can't detect pheromones? Need regular alpha pheromone reassurance during pregnancy. Having it might help. And that watch, Oscar's birthday gift, worn for so long, maybe out of habit, I couldn't bear to take it off. The doctor had me pretend to be sick and easily escorted me out of the villa. He also helped arrange my mother's hospital transfer, and my sister's school. Marcus handled it. The transfer process was fast. In just 2 days, everything was settled. I had been with Oscar nearly 2 years. To completely break free only took 2 days. Once everything was in order, I felt strangely empty, as if something important had been forcibly removed from my life. The doctor leaned close to my ear. Preston, if you ever need me, you can contact me. I can share my pheromones. I blinked back tears. Why are you so good to me? He stroked my head, voice unusually gentle. What do you think? I shook my head. I didn't know. What was a low-grade Omega like me worth his help? Probably just pity. Before leaving, Marcus glanced at me, his tone meaningful. With that dull resistance. No wonder Oscar struggled with you. I looked at him, puzzled. He just smiled faintly. Nothing. I blocked all of Oscar's contact information, focused on resting and taking care of the baby in my rental. The doctor visited occasionally, but this time, an alpha followed him. He entered immediately with a hostile glare, voice sharp. Oscar's little kept thing is pregnant. Why do you keep bothering my wife? Marcus shot him a look. A faint blush touched his cold expression. Who's your wife? Get lost. After they left, I noticed the doctor's earring on the cabinet. I picked it up to return it, but as soon as I stepped outside, I saw the tall alpha pressing the doctor against the car door and kissing him. Their eyes met mine, filled with possessiveness and warning. While kissing, he threatened him. Marcus, if you don't want the little thing you like to find out, keep quiet. Otherwise next time, believe me, I'll do it in front of him. The doctor, furious, slapped him. The tall alpha didn't get angry. He laughed and kissed the doctor's palm. Does your wife's hand hurt? I didn't watch further. I shut the door, cheeks burning. If I remembered correctly, they were both top-tier alphas. That night, I curled up under the covers. It had been 2 months since leaving Oscar, and I still hadn't gotten used to it. I always felt like something was missing, an emptiness in my chest. Oscar was probably with Landon now, not thinking about me at all. I clutched the shirt I had brought back from him. Maybe the pregnancy made my omega glands more sensitive. For the first time since leaving Oscar, I smelled his pheromones, the scent of absinthe. His pheromones were as aggressive as he was, but over time, the scent faded. The more I wanted to hold on, the more it slipped away. By now, Oscar's scent was almost gone. I cried myself to sleep. In the middle of the night, I suddenly smelled Oscar's pheromones again. I opened my eyes to meet his dark, intense gaze. Baby, you just left me for a bit. Why's your belly so big? I stared blankly at that familiar face. Was this a dream? I was dreaming of him again. I reached out, wanting to touch him, but Oscar grabbed my wrist. His eyes locked on my swollen belly, voice coaxing yet sharp. Whose bastard is in my baby? Speak. The touch on my wrist reminded me this wasn't a dream. Oscar's pheromones were unstable, probably another sensitive period. Instinctively, I shielded my belly, shrinking back in fear. Oscar's eyes reddened, teeth clenched. What are you hiding? Pregnant. The one you like isn't with you. You're stuck in this shitty place, and you're still trying to hide it for that piece of trash. I opened my mouth to explain. But how? Should I explain I pretended to be a beta for money, tricking him, or that he really was that trash? Oscar hated liars. He hated omegas, and his first love had already returned. If he found out, could the baby survive? So I shrank back. It's none of your business. I hung my head, waiting for his anger, but Oscar only gritted his teeth, coaxing. It is my business. Come on, tell me, whose bastard is in your belly? We'll raise it together. I froze. Did he mean I could keep the baby? Under Oscar's intense gaze, I stammered. Yours. His voice turned harsh. All right, wait, I'll take care of him. Then his expression shifted to disbelief. Wait, whose did you say? Carefully, I repeated. Yours, bastard. Oscar froze completely, swearing under his breath. Oscar stayed stunned for a long time, then seemed to accept it. You got pregnant and didn't tell me. Why did you run? I was still anxious, fearing his anger. You're not mad I lied. Actually, I'm not a beta, I'm a low-grade omega. And your first love came back. Landon. Seeing his expression darken, I stopped, coaxing softly. Don't be mad, Oscar. He chuckled angrily, biting his molars. Why would I be mad? I'm more than happy. Seeing my still confused look, he kissed me. It's late, sleep first. Baby, tomorrow we'll talk properly. You just need to know. Preston, I love you. I froze completely. Was this still a dream? Could it really be true? Oscar gently wrapped me from behind. His calming pheromones filled the room. Sleepiness overtook me. My thoughts interrupted. Half asleep, I felt a wet touch on my neck. Oscar's plaintive voice whispered, I thought, baby didn't want me anymore. He stayed with me until morning. We even bumped into Marcus, who had come for the routine checkup. Marcus whistled. Wow, you found him so fast. Oscar's voice was cold. Shut up, we're not done yet. The tall alpha with Marcus stood protectively, voice disapproving. Don't you have a wife? Why be so harsh to my wife? Oscar turned, eyes fixed on me. I avoided his gaze. Even now, it didn't feel real. Oscar's look was filled with quiet resentment. After the checkup, Oscar took me home. I was restless all the way, afraid of running into Landon. That would have been so awkward. But at home, there was no one else, just us. I tugged at his shirt, asking, Landon isn't home. Oscar's face was stern. He can be wherever he wants. He's not in my house. The only one here can be you. Then, as if he realized something, he grabbed my face, expression serious. Could it be, the one you like is him? No wonder you kept staring at him last time. And then, after a string of complaints, as if worried I wouldn't understand, he added seriously, baby, an omega to omega crush has no future. I was confused. Isn't the one who's liked Landon for years, you? Oscar seemed completely at a loss. Preston, I really want to pry open that little brain of yours and see what's inside. How can I make you believe that the one I've always liked has always been you? After saying that, his face flushed with embarrassment. Ever since the first time I saw you, forget it. Let's just do this. He knelt on one knee, fingers brushing against my waistband. Oscar licked his lips. Does it feel good, baby? I grabbed his hair, letting out a low, blissful moan. He gazed at my face, eyes full of deep affection, then focused entirely on pleasuring me. At that moment, I probably believed him. The room was thick with Oscar's pheromones. For the first time, I smelled my own pheromones, a scent of lime. They mingled together, indistinguishable from one another. When the little one was born, everything went smoothly. The doctor, along with a team of top specialists, personally oversaw the delivery. When the door opened, Oscar didn't even look at the baby. Red-eyed, he held my hand. Baby, does it hurt? I shook my head weakly. Later, my mother recovered almost fully, and my sister got into school. Everything was moving in the right direction. But one night, after Oscar put the little one to sleep, he returned to the bedroom. I finally couldn't resist pulling out that photo, the one of him and Landon. I had secretly saved it years ago, thinking it could be a keepsake after leaving. Oscar panicked. Baby, a setup. This is absolutely a setup. His voice sounded hurt. I was just having a business dinner with his family, and Landon already had a fiancée at the time. Baby, you've got it all wrong. Later, it turned out that the photo had been sent by Marcus. When Oscar found out, he was furious. He called up his childhood friend and unleashed a scolding. Apparently, the doctor didn't get out of bed for a whole week after that. Once the little one grew a bit, Oscar suddenly asked if I wanted to go back to school and take exams. My heart skipped, but I hesitated, unsure. Can I do it? Back then, after my mother got sick, I was only in the second year of high school. I dropped out to make money. When my teachers found out, they could only sigh with regret. What a pity, your grades were so good. Oscar kissed me, pulling me out of the memory. Baby, you can do it. Don't worry, I'll take care of the little one. You don't need to. After we got married, he truly proved to be a devoted father. He did everything himself when it came to raising the little one. But the truth was, he was afraid the child would steal my love and attention. So he took the initiative. When I realized his little scheme, I laughed at him for being childish. Oscar buried his head in my chest. I just want my wife to look at me more. Encouraged by Oscar, I went back to retake my exams. As an older student, much of the material felt unfamiliar, but picking it up wasn't as hard as I had imagined. Moreover, Oscar hired a top tutor for one-on-one lessons. During the day, he took the little one to the company. At night, he came home and cooked for me. As exams approached, I once again refused his advances. His expression was written all over, regretful. During his sensitive period, he looked almost ready to cry. I could only soothe him. In the end, I studied while being pressed beneath him. My recitation was halting and uneven. Oscar kept encouraging me. Baby, great job. What's the next line? I couldn't help it. I smacked him. He only got more excited. On the day of the exams, Oscar, along with my mother and sister, waited for me at the school gate. He even held a bouquet of flowers. Seeing them from afar, I felt dazed.